So there was something else that you wanted to also touch on in terms of the NHS.
Yeah, and that was why we went private. But then again, I was like, listen, if I start fighting the NHS, putting a lot of time, which we don't have right now, resources, like, to what benefit will it be, right? But I like the way you're going about it. The whole, talk about the black women and the mortality rate, birth mortality and all that, which I think is a fantastic idea because a lot of the time people talk about, Caucasian, but they don't really talk about the black and Asian race, which I think more like should be thrown into that aspect to create more awareness, right? Which is fantastic. Yeah. I've lost my train of thoughts now. About the NHS, I felt like, they could have done better, right? But then again, in my mind, if they had done better for us and that led to more complicated issues, we still be blamed. That's why I say, certain things happen and I just leave it in the hands of God, especially matters or situations that is beyond our control, by faith, right? So initially I was angry with the NHS, like, blah, 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 blah. I'm talking about what happened during that period in time. The aftermath, the old service of NHS, I know it's not good. The service was dropped. I'm not really impressed with the way they handle situations, handovers and all that. Even the experience right from here I was time in Omerton down to Basildon and, the whole frequent visits to the hospital about your BP, that time that you were admitted and you were struggling to walk and I was trying to assist you in, and this nurse just came and put her hand in her pocket and she just walked past and I had to call her back. Listen, my wife is limping and I can't go past this line because it's a female's ward. The least you could do is to offer assistance. And the response was just uncalled for.
Yeah.
Although you told me later that she apologized, but why didn't she apologize to me? I'll take your word for it that she apologized.
No, she did. She did.
So this
so what happened was once she realized what I was going through, because I explained to her, I was like, hey, listen, I've just lost my daughter. My husband's obviously really upset. She was like, oh my God, I'm really sorry, blah, blah, blah. I didn't realize that. And then she explained that what she was trying to do, that she was trying to give us a private moment. That's the reason why she walked away. But she could have communicated that. And it goes back to, again, the voice note. Remember I kept saying, like, the importance of communication. And I feel, for me, in terms of my experience with, giving birth and all that stuff, is having to be an advocate for myself. And you being an advocate for me, because it was important for us to be on the same page to then communicate exactly what we wanted, if that makes any sense. And I feel like that is what's lacking, the lack of understanding and lack of communication between the patient and the doctors and that stuff. So, thank you so much. So the other thing I actually wanted to touch on was pictures. You remember when the lady was like, oh, do you want to take pictures? And you were like, no. And then we eventually warmed up to it. When the lady, Rebecca, I think her name was, kept coming in to offer different options, and we decorated her molds, all that stuff. How did you process that and eventually get comfortable taking pictures and stuff?
Because obviously it was a first time experience for us. We've never been in such a situation before. So all these, offerings from the nurses and all that were new, so we didn't know what the right thing to do was just based on intuition. Like, okay, initially I didn't want to do it because this is just gonna be a picture that will be reminding me of something I don't want to remember, because it's like I feel like it was like a mind toucher, right? I don't want to take a picture of it. But then again, you were saying, oh, you wanted a picture, and obviously I had to consider your feelings and
I mean, I had to promise you. I was like, I promise you I will not keep going back to it. Which I don't. I don't do that. I don't look at it as often as you think I do.
Then I was like, alright, cool, let's take a picture. If that's gonna make you feel better, or help in the healing process. I don't want to, but if that's what you want, no problems. I'll do it for you, alright? And we took a picture and dressed her up, and I warmed up to it, and it's not a pleasant experience. for us, man. You know, it is what it is, man. What you should just have to keep thanking God and you know. But now that's happened to us, I'm happy that you're doing this because you know it's I believe it's gonna help one or two persons out there, you know, because this is not gonna be the last time it's gonna happen to somebody. It happens to people every day. People lose babies every day, you know, how they overcome it, how they grieve. For example, when we did the funeral, the lady at the funeral, her daughter lost a baby.
Yeah, she spoke about it a lot.
Yeah, and she said like a few months later she gave it. I'm like, I can't even think of doing jiggy after you've seen all, like, I was like, listen, you know what? I'm not gonna do nothing again. Like, if this thing of his mind starts trying to do like this, I'm like, hey, go back down.
But
so it was quiet. I was like, how do you do that?
But actually, let's actually rewind that a little bit. So that's a good point in terms of it's only after this happened to us that I'm again talking from my perspective as well, in terms of you start hearing about all of these other stories. Oh, this person went through it, this person went through it. And again, that harps on the point that I had earlier in terms of you hear of this thing happening in general, just, you know, it's a thing that happens in life. But there's so many people within our community or people that we talk to on a daily basis. I'm like, oh, but so I've started thinking in terms, and I think that's part of what's encouraging me to be open and vulnerable and talk about these things is because just you never to the point we made it, it's an unimaginable pain, right? And if as I'm going through this, I've actually gone on YouTube a number of times and I've watched a few videos in terms of how have people dealt with this? Like, what did they go through? Is what I'm going through like, is it normal? Like, is it normal? Is it not? Am I going crazy? Like, the fact that I'm feeling a certain type of way, the fact that, you know, there's this constant cloud over my head. And I've actually had a few really good conversations with people that have actually lived it. And it's only until I've spoken to them, I'm like, oh my God, they get it. But when I'm speaking to people that haven't been through it, they don't. And I get it because actually one of my old work colleagues and friends texted me today and was like, oh, you know, don't be upset, don't get upset or don't be confused at the fact that people don't understand how to say things to you, or they may say things that may hurt you or not give you the comfort that you need, but you need to forgive them because nobody knows how to deal with grief. But it's funny how she said that. I was like, that is so true. I've never really taken, when people say things to me, I'm like, you're only saying that because you don't get it. I don't take those things personally because I understand that it's an uncomfortable conversation. Even, for example, when I was talking to my best friend and she was like, oh, you know, at my baby shower, people really wanted to bring it up. And I was like, I would have wished they just brought it up because I felt that awkwardness. I felt that like, oh my God, like she's lost her baby and, you know, she's fragile. Do you say it? Do you not say it? It was awkward.
But you think you would have wanted them to...
I think acknowledge it. Hey, I really heard I've heard what you've gone through. I'm really sorry for your loss.
But that will get emotional.
Not necessarily. And that's not necessarily, and that's what I'm trying to say. I think people need to be more open and comfortable with the fact that something has happened. Acknowledge it. If the person gets upset, you comfort them. That is you being real. But I feel because people are uncomfortable with potentially making somebody else upset, is why I think they don't do it. But for me, I felt it was a lot more awkward them not acknowledging, because I was like, now knowing that, I was like, so that means my daughter wasn't acknowledged. It happened.
Wait. Yeah, but just to understand what you just said now, previously, you I remember you saying
I shut out and I didn't want to talk about it. But then that's what I'm trying to say. So people, and that's what I'm saying. Well, not everybody, because people are not obviously in tune. For me, when people try to bring it up, you can tell from the person's response if they're willing to talk about it or not. Right? So some of my friends will bring, oh Shay, how you doing? And they will ask me certain questions and I'll just say, oh yeah, story for another day. Do you know what I mean? But at least they acknowledged it. And the next time we spoke, they'll bring it up again. And that time I was okay to talk about it. So it's almost about having that emotional intelligence in terms of if somebody's giving you cues that they don't want to talk about it, then you move away from, oh, do you know what? I heard about your loss. And then if I start crying, I'm really sorry you're upset. You give the person tissues. For me, that is, and again, everybody's really individual and everybody deals with this very differently. But the fact that she wasn't necessarily acknowledged, in hindsight, I was like, that's more upsetting than what you did, which is ignoring it. So, but again, it's different preferences. But I say all of that to say there's the whole awareness around baby loss, and it happens, and how we deal with it within our culture and our community. But then there's also the element of people not feeling alone. So I've had a few conversations where, you know, some people have felt alone. So we've agreed that we will continue having these open, vulnerable conversations because, to your point, it happens on a day-to-day basis, and it might bring to some form of like, you know, what people really go through behind the scenes,
comfort inside.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah.
We today see so many like couples and the bright side of life. Oh, I got married, I did this. But what about the dark side? Like, this is a dark moment for us.
And most times the dark sides are even more than the bright sides.
Exactly. So again, I think it's I found this conversation very helpful because there were some things that I didn't necessarily know of that has obviously come to light. So again, thank you for being open. And there are some things that obviously we've spoken about, and it kind of shows that even though we are united in how we deal with things, we're very different in how we deal with things as well. And that's normal and it's okay. It's not like, you know, it's causing massive rifts or frictions and stuff. Yeah. We've appreciated and acknowledged, hey, you share your emotional, you cry about things, Yummy deals with things very differently, but I hope that this conversation will bring to light, you know, when people say, oh, how is Yummy feeling? You know, you're feeling okay, you're dealing with it, you are thankful.
Yeah, and also it's okay for a man to cry. I cried like a baby.
I remember that you were doing this, and
it
I
is
do
really okay for a man to cry. If someone tells you for a man you can't express your emotions and all that, no. So
I think that's an upbringing thing, but anyway.
Express your emotions, cry, let it all out. You know, yeah, I cried. I don't cry every day like Shay, but I cried on that day, and you know, I cleaned my eyes, wiped my tears, put on my, you know, brave coat, and you know, move on with life, but still acknowledge what happened. I didn't forget. I acknowledge it all the time, but I just found my coping mechanism. You know, Shay is crying. Sometimes I'll just come back from work. I'll go upstairs. I'll just see her cuddling in bed with the Plague charity. There was a charity, very wonderful charity.
Yeah, beautiful charity.
Yeah, that did
Forever Finley.
Yeah, what did they do? What's that thing called?
Molds.
They did a mold of her hands and her feet. You know, so I was cuddling, crying. Okay, yeah, one of those days I understand. God give you strength. God give us strength. God give the family strength. And my sisters were very supportive. And my sister came from Cambridge. My brother came. His fiancé came too. They supported us. Deola supported us. She brought food. Basira too. Tammy came with Amia May. You know, little babies, all of them. You know, your sister Larry came too. And even Tabani and
Xander, yeah.
Xander came, which was, you know,
I remember that.
That added +1, you know, in my books for him. He came to say hello. Very nice of him. God bless him. You know, so yeah,
the support system has been there.
We've been shown a lot of love and support, you know, which I quite appreciate to the highest.
I think the support has come actually, just to touch on that a little bit, is the support has come in various amount of ways. I think I've felt it a lot more than you. So I always try, whenever somebody sends me an email, they like an email, a text, a voice note, it's always Shay and your family sort of thing, and that's obviously myself, you, and Irabo. And like whenever I think of family and those prayers and those texts and the emails that I received, the flowers, all that stuff, I think I drew a lot of strength for it, and I would always try and remind, oh, Yummy, you know, this person asked after you, or this person checked in on you. But I think in general, the family support, when everybody came, like they were at my house, like the house was packed for like 2-3 weeks.
And also,
and then the visits and the calls after.
And
as
also
well.
Your church, your shepherd was good, man.
Yeah, they've come in number of
he came to the hospital, you know, out of his busy schedule, came to the house, showed support, you know. So yeah, you know, just
that's a good point. My church has been really helpful.
I don't go to our church though, but yeah, they showed a lot of support, you know. Yeah, and, in all, everything, like I said, ends with thanks. In every situation, I'm thankful to God. And God spare our lives. Definitely, we'll have more babies coming.
The journey to the rainbow, baby. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that another day.
Yeah, more babies will come, and everyone that is going through similar situations, hang on there. The Lord is your strength, or your Creator is your strength. And I believe this will, I believe one or two persons out there could pick up one or 2 points from what we've said so far, and could also help them in, healing, help them in the healing process.
So no, thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Bakary.
You're welcome.